be the last option of trying to put Nigeria into unity. And even at that level, it might have gone beyond that, given the level things are now. The reality is unveiling on daily basis. The Biafran quest has taken a global dimension and international, certainty. People are beginning to giraffe. World leaders are meeting over, Biafran cause. The Igbo nation in 88 countries of the world has continued to spread the understanding and the solidarity for the world to recognize, including the United Nations, the republic and the sovereignty of Biafra. And there's a lot of reasons why Biafra is more bigger than what Obi is actually trying to achieve. But if we didn't get that sovereignty as it is now, in terms of reality and solidarity, having been recognized by all major nations of the world, of course, the advancement for Igbo political will and weaponry will start from Obi, to the rest of Nigerians, to see how Igbos are going to muster the political strength at the end of the day, to deliver that mandate, to Obi. And the Igbos love Obi so much. They love Obi because Obi seems to be the only symbol, of integrity Nigeria can be proud of. And Igbos have already seen him, as the only political figure with the dexterity and integrity, to transform and move Nigeria to Eldorado. The Northern people also agreed with Obi in that regard, and we can see that actually played out during the last election, 2023 election, where Peter Obi, single-handedly, even though he was underrated, came up. And I know that most of his votes came as a result of sympathy, as a result of signs of deep marginalization. That they were even warned that, I think Pa Ayo came out and said it, that if Peter Obi did not emerge the president of Nigeria in 2023, it might lead to the end of Nigeria. And that is why we are seeing, the Biafran nation, spreading like wildfire, across the four corners of the world. People are seeing Biafra as the only body or nation, that will represent a free world, just like what Americans representing today. For the black man needs Biafra to survive. Biafra means a lot to the black race. It's not about an Igbo thing, but still we are still talking about what our Igbos are going to gain from Peter Obi emerging president 2027. The problem is that with the North and the South muscle the presidency completely out from Tinubu and his men, who has helped Nigeria, who has taken Nigeria, to emergency unit. Nigeria is currently in emergency unit, struggling for life at the end of the day, and that is why you see the whole thing, moving from left to right. Like Atiku will say, Atiku have already said, it is trial and error. Bola Kija. I think if I might get it right, administration. That means the worst set of incompetent presidency in the history of Nigeria is what we are experiencing under Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A Southerner whom people believe that would have been more sophisticated than any president coming from the North. But we are seeing the other aspect of it completely, and for us here, it is not a welcome development. But no matter how you look at it, Nigeria still remains a corrupt, surviving, occupied by corruption. Nigeria is occupied by corruption. How would I occupied enemy? Now, Nigeria is an occupied enemy of itself, and that enemy is corruption. Is that corruption is an occupying force in Nigeria. Then how do we eradicate that? The question still goes to those who have been, destroying Nigeria in terms of leadership. And if the North feels that it is time to give leadership to an Igbo man to be able to rescue Nigeria from the grave, well, whatever happens, I think it will take a divine navigation for Nigeria to be rescued at this point in time. considering that the rising sun, the first Jewish black nation in the world, has made a global impact for solidarity. It's a splitted atmosphere politically now. If you look at what is the situation in the east, in the west, of course in the north, but the north seems to have a direct influential voting power in other regions, because the other region has not consciously wake up to the reality, mastering what they have in terms of the electorate going to the polling unit to elect their leaders. And the North seem to have the upper one. That's the major thinking of other tribes and other regions. But the fact still remains presently now that the level of sensitization in the North politically in terms of voting and that of the South is quite divided currently now, because the South sees themselves as more sophisticated. They do not attach religion to political favor or struggle or quest at the end of the day. So the South has its own unique approach to election matters, while the North themselves see politics as religion. So there's going to be another factor that will be factored into any merger that's going to take place between maybe Labour Party, PDP, NNPP, or some of the political parties at the end of the day. So how we're going to look at that depends on how they are going to be able to position themselves currently now. Bola Ahmed Tinubu's APC is in dilemma currently now as a result of the anti-people policies. You can see most of his policies are being shut down on arrival. The North seems to be overwhelmingly, showing that they still have what it takes to make anything work or make any bill policy work in Nigeria, especially those ones that are considered or being seen as an anti-North is being shut down completely. We see the Southern senators and we begin to ask questions. What is actually the problem this time around? Why would the North, why would the South be docile, completely dormant, and sit down in the red chambers and watch the North intimidate them? If you're looking at directly what that means is, people are beginning to ask Bola Ahmed Tinubu's relevant, important question, do you actually mean this tax reform? What are the benefits? It is in two ways. Why the North is rejecting it is because they believe that it is going to squeeze the economic life, considering the fact that it is more of a producing zone than a manufacturing zone, and manufacturing too has to do is that's where government put a lot of interest in terms of value added tax at the end of the day. But they forget that North too is productive in their own way, because most of the things that are being taken or being exported in terms of agriculture and thereabout, is still coming from that arena. So, and then given the level of poverty and non-sophistication in the northern part of the country, they feel and they felt that at this point they don't need to embrace any political reform, or tax reform that is going to put the entire region on a risk. The government have just moved from 10% to 25%. What it means is that they added 2.5%, to the previous value added tax. What it means is that our government is going to be having more money, while the citizens themselves, are going to be crawling for survival, and it will be very devastating for some regions, especially in the North, where they consider it a maximum threat. Like, a lot of people might not see why the likes of Ndume and the governor of Borno State, Zulum, coming out to say, it need to be thrown, it need to be thrown to the dustbin for now. Even at that, we have seen subsequent policies like that. The Southerners are not able to shut it down. The Southern senators are not able to shut it down. But what happened? They will see at the end of the day, did not have his way. But no matter how bad it is this tax reform actually going to benefit Nigerians? Or what is it that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually trying to drive with this tax reform? It is a purely tax regime. This is exactly what Lagosians experienced. Why in Lagos, especially, it was directly targeted on Igbo business people in Lagos. Because the Yorubas and the Hausas, the volume of their business cannot be compared with that of the Igbo man. So he used it to look at that angle of squeezing the Igbo businesses here in Lagos and putting enormous resources on the hand of Yorubas. Like what you want to, people are perceiving, that's actually what you want to achieve with when they consider it a maximum threat. Like a lot of people might not see why the likes of Ndume and the governor of Borno State, Zulum, coming out to say, it need to be thrown, it need to be thrown to the dustbin for now. Even at that, we have seen subsequent policies like that. The Southerners are not able to shut it down. The Southern senators are not able to shut it down. But what happened? They will see at the end of the day, did not have his way. But no matter how bad it is this tax reform actually going to benefit Nigerians? Or what is it that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually trying to drive with this tax reform? It is a purely tax regime. This is exactly what Lagosians experienced. Why in Lagos, especially, it was directly targeted on Igbo business people in Lagos. Because the Yorubas and the Hausas, the volume of their business cannot be compared with that of the Igbo man. So he used it to look at that angle of squeezing the Igbo businesses here in Lagos and putting enormous resources on the hand of Yorubas. Like what you want to, people are perceiving, that's actually what you want to achieve with the tax reform is trying to carry out at the national level, where it will be seen that after successfully globalizing his administration, he is pushing for a tax reform that will put more money on the Yorubas, and by that time he will use it to establish a kind of political dynasty that he will want to sustain beyond 2027. So Nigerians need to be wise. The reason why the Northerners are kicking against it, the struggle is already clear. Why the North is also making sure that that tax reform is actually backanized. But on the South, men looking at it, it might be somehow beneficial because it is part of the reform, regionalism, restructuring, on significant or insignificant principles of what he understands. Because most of the manufacturing and most of the productive resources and economic services, are domiciled here in the South. So at that point, they believe that it is likely is targeted at creating wealth for the Yorubas, while other regions are going to suffer. But the funny thing is that it has passed the first reading, it has passed the second reading, and is the president actually bent on pushing further for that reform, tax reform? If it goes further, that's what the Northerners are saying, then he might be in for impeachment, he might be in for a threat that would destabilize and balkanize the nation at the end of the day. That is what it is all about. That is what the tax reform can be stands for. But another aspect of it is that what would the states be taking at the end of the day? We would have made it very clearly to everybody, instead of taking it bit by bit, that go into the journalism holistically, go into restructuring holistically, and stop this cosmetic approach to the real thing of regionalism. I think that's what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to achieve. His presence in France, considering the level of borrowing, is also a threat to Nigerian economy. Forget what the Tinubu administration is trying to paint, that at the end of the day, it looks like things are going to come up, you know, but Nigerians now understand better that we might be in for another propaganda, given what is happening in Port Harcourt refinery, where the government came out a few days ago and make an official announcement that the Port Harcourt refinery is in functionality. But we have not seen, a few days after, we are beginning to see different opinions, different counter-motion, lies, uncertainty, or everything. There's no transparency. And that was why when stakeholders of this nation called Nigeria looked at the poor handling of this administration by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they decided that I think it is better, it is high time, you know, for us